India is a country known for its mesmerizing colors and vibrant cultures, but also, unfortunately, its rampant corruption. India is the world's largest democracy, and with a booming economy throughout the 2000s, it was considered one of the most promising major emerging markets. But that rapid growth sputtered to a decade low in 2012, with many observers pointing to the destructive effect of endemic corruption as the culprit. Perhaps more than India's weak currency and rising inflation, the corruption problem has undermined institutions and thwarted efforts to reduce poverty and enable sustainable growth. Public revelations of corruption, including major scandals in the telecommunications and coal industry, have motivated a rising middle class with increased demands for better governance. The tide has spurred new political movements and has forced the government to address transparency and draw up reforms. But many analysts believe India's extensive bureaucracy and weak institutions have thwarted convictions and arguably increased incentives for bribery. In fact, according to Transparency International's most recent Global Corruption Barometer in 2013, the police and judiciary were ranked as the second and third most corrupt institutions in India, respectively, after political parties. In recent years, corruption has pervaded society from small-scale harassment bribes or payments for essential social services to scandals on a national level. Analysts say that the shift towards grand corruption is largely due to the rapid growth of the country, which has expanded opportunities for misconduct. Anuradha Shankar is an officer in the Indian Police Service, the elite administrators of the police force. She has served in various capacities in the central Indian states of Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh, where she is stationed now. She is known for her integrity, empathy, and insistence on the rule of law. This makes her hugely popular with the public, but makes politicians quite uncomfortable.
It's a very sad situation, but corruption in India today is as prevalent as the sun. It's all over, it's endemic, especially in wherever the government or the bureaucratic reach or the administrative reach is there. Nothing gets done, almost nothing gets done without corruption at some level or the other. Of course, there are these little oases of integrity where people can actually deliver without resorting to corruption, but they are very few and far between.
In 2014, India ranked 85th out of 175 countries in Transparency International's Corruption Perception Index with a score of 38 out of 100. Mounting corruption has created not only domestic worries, but has also tarnished the country's image among international investors. Since 1947, India has lost hundreds of billions of dollars in illegal capital flows, including tax evasion, corruption, bribery, and kickbacks.
For the culture of corruption in India to change, the first thing that needs to happen is to get all government machinery accountable to the people of India. For that, we need to have transparency in our systems. For that, we need to have systems in place where the people can ask questions without fear and they should be answered without any tentativeness. The Right to Information Act has been in place and people are using it, but there are long delays, there are obfuscations, and the kind of response that it should have gotten, it has not got. Therefore, even if there is an activist who puts in an application in the Right to Information, say for a road which has been made in his residential area, and he or she wants to know what the expense was, how much time it took, and exactly what the quality is, the reply might come after all the appeals are exhausted, and maybe the activist has to go and actually go to the final appellate authority. So the delays are too much, and still there are lots of areas where the right to information has not been extended to, including the judiciary. And this lack of transparency is a major reason for corruption not being curbed in India. The other thing is that some system of inculcating values should be started at the very primary level. Actually, it should start in the family itself. But if the families are not looking after this responsibility, then at school, at college, everywhere it should become important, and some bit of shaming should be done for people who are indulging in corrupt practices.
There is, however, cause for hope. Successive revelations of corruption have intensified public outrage at the inability of the government to mitigate the problem. In turn, the country has seen a rise of anti-corruption rhetoric, enough to influence the outcome of state elections. The Aam Aadmi Party, led by activist Arvind Kejriwal, emerged in 2012 as a new political party with an anti-corruption platform. The Aam Aadmi Party, Hindi for the Common Man's Party, presents itself as an alternative to what it describes as the stagnant, corrupt, and essentially anti-democratic political establishment that runs the country. In February 2015, in an unexpected landslide victory, the party won 67 of the 70 seats available in the Delhi Legislative Assembly election. Delhi is the capital territory of India, so this could potentially have significant implications for the rest of the country. An increasingly activist judiciary has also taken a stronger stance against corruption. In early 2011, the Supreme Court asked all trial courts in the country to fast-track corruption cases. The next year, it limited the amount of time the government had to decide whether or not to prosecute a public official for corruption. Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced in an August 2014 speech that his government will initiate tough initiatives to battle corruption, likening the problem to a disease. Technology has also helped. Websites like IPayToBribe.com expose corruption associated with common public services, while some states have implemented online systems for state contract bids, allowing for greater transparency. The government is also devising an electronic ID system, which would allow poor citizens to avoid intermediaries and receive aid directly through a bank account. While technology's greatest contribution has perhaps been granting citizens greater access to information, it can only do so much.
Actually, India is a collection of a variety of people, a variety of ethnicities, of problems, of attitudes. So what works in one place might not work in another. But of course, there is a lot of hope that the youth nowadays have become conscious enough, and they have started questioning. They have also started looking at options. So there is a possibility, there is always a possibility. We always have this hope.